Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Lots to get into on the show this morning, but before we do that, please do me a small favour. Make sure to drop a like on today's episode, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and also let me know your thoughts on the Kobbie Mainoo contract situation in the comment section below. We will be kicking off the show by starting on that topic with a big article that came out yesterday from The Guardian here in the UK, which is, I would say, a respected newspaper. Don't usually put out false stories or clickbait or anything like that. So it's a reliable outlet by way of newspapers. I know every newspaper sometimes puts out rubbish, but The Guardian generally is quite reliable. So let's start there. And obviously, as I said, I want you to let me know your thoughts on this developing Kobbie Mainoo situation. So So the article says that Kobbie Mainoo is set to reject Manchester United's contract offer as he seeks a move abroad. Apparently, we spoke about this a couple of days ago, that apparently Manchester United are reluctant to pay the £200,000 a week asking price that his agent has put on him, which I agree with. There's no way on this earth that Kobbie Mainoo is worth £200,000 a week in wages. Zero chance. I would probably say he's worth around 100 at the most, and that's probably being generous. He's had 2 years in the first team, most of which he's been injured, and I think he's struggled this season. He's got no goals, no assists, doesn't look very comfortable playing as the central defensive midfielder. I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because obviously as we always do as a fan base, we've built Kobbie Mainoo up to be this world-class player. He's the best in the world. He's going to be, and all the rest of it. But I don't know. I'm not sure if I buy into it all, to be honest. I don't know. It's difficult. Obviously, I get why we've built him up. He's come through the academy. He's a local boy, Manchester United fan. I understand. But like when you actually look at it on paper and you look at, not even look at it on paper, look at it with your eyes and you watch him play and you look at his injuries and you look at the other things, like, is he an as good player as the Manchester United fan base make out? Last season, at the age of 18, he missed 21 games through injury. This season, he's already missed 15. I think he's not going to be back until about April or May, so he'll easily miss 21 games this season as well. So in the last 2 seasons, his first at a professional level, he's missed 20 plus games through injury. I mean, it doesn't make particularly good reading, does it, for someone at that age of their career? When you look at, say, like a Bruno Fernandes, right, who plays in the same position. Bruno Fernandes, if you look at his injury record throughout his whole career, let's have a look. I know it's going to be shocking. So in Bruno's whole career, which spans over 10 years, he's been playing at a professional level, obviously not including youth games. Bruno has missed 6 games in 10 years. Kobbie Mainoo's missed over 40 in the space of 2 years. I just think that if he wants this massive salary and is saying that he now wants to leave unless we give it, I would just let him go, to be honest. And I know that there's going to be some people saying, oh, it's a disgrace. Is it? We're 14th in the Premier League. I don't think any of these players are unsellable, really, if you actually think about it. I get why there's this attachment towards him, because obviously he's from Manchester. He's come through the academy. Like, I understand the sentimentality towards Kobbie Mainoo. I just think we're at a point now where we can't be held ransom by players in an underperforming team. It's the thing which is the most frustrating for me, right? Say we just finished second in the league and Kobbie Mainoo had an unbelievable season. He just won Young Player of the Season. You would say 200 grand's too much, but we've got to keep him, give him what he wants. But we're closer to the relegation zone than we are to top 4. And Kobbie Mainoo has been a part of that team that's achieved that. I'm not saying it's specifically his fault. I'm just saying it doesn't really feel like the right time to be giving someone 200 grand a week when we're like, what are we, 14th? It just doesn't really make sense to me. And I think Man United need to stand their ground here. As I said, I think if you could give him around 100, I think that would be probably even a bit too much. But still, I think that would be maybe reasonable. But yeah, I'd be really interested to know your thoughts on this. Like, let's do a poll, see what everyone thinks. Would you give Mainoo 200k per week? I've set up a little poll so you can get involved in that if you want. People saying that it's sad that he wants to leave. Yeah, I mean, obviously it is sad, but he wants to leave because he wants more money, probably, and he probably wants to go and win trophies. CBK says, do you think he'll go to Chelsea? No, the article says that he's not looking at moves in the Premier League. He's looking at moves abroad. So I think, yeah, I don't think he's looking at like a Chelsea. I think he probably will. I don't know. I just don't really see where he's going to end up. You know? That's the thing which is kind of confusing me as well. It's like, where will Bruno Fernandes end up? Jackie says we should sell Mainoo for 70 million and buy Adam Wharton. Yeah, Adam Wharton's decent. I like him. He's another good young up-and-coming player. UK Darren says, like you said, Kieran, no more than 100 grand a week. Yeah, I honestly think even 100 grand a week is a bit kind, based on the form that he's in and based on his injury record and based on the fact that, is he really a 100 grand a week player? I don't think so, to be honest. But obviously you are paying for potential. You know, there's the potential that in 2 or 3 years he could be the best midfielder in the world, or he could be just injured all the time. And that's the gamble that Manchester United have to evaluate. Is it better to cash in on him now, get 70 million, 100% profit on a player who has the potential, but has question marks about his injury record, in my opinion? Or do you roll the dice? Do you risk it? Give him a new 5-year contract and hope that he reaches that potential. And then you've got a midfielder for the next 10, 15 years. But it's a risk, isn't it? And I think we have been stung quite a lot in the past, haven't we, in these types of situations where we've given players new contracts. We did it with Martial. We did it with Luke Shaw. There's probably some others. I think we did it with Phil Jones, didn't we? And I'm not comparing them to Kobbie Mainoo. I'm just saying that in the past, we've had similar situations where we could have sold Luke Shaw at that point, and instead we gave him a new contract. We could have sold Anthony Martial, but instead we gave him a new deal, you know, and we later went to regret those things. So it's a big decision for Manchester United, and it's one that's going to be scrutinised no matter what decision they make. If he leaves, people will say Ineos are a disgrace. If he stays and they get 200 grand a week, people will say Ineos are a disgrace. So it's pretty difficult for Ineos to win here. Mel says it's truly sad to hear that Mainoo wants to leave. I do blame our greedy owners for this. The youth are probably not seeing value in the club anymore. So yeah, there you go. And literally my point's just been proved. Somebody in the chat is already blaming Ineos for Kobbie wanting to leave. But you have to remember, he wants to leave probably because he wants to win trophies. That's part one. But he also wants to leave because he knows that he can get more money somewhere else. And I mean, I say that. Who would pay him 200 grand a week? That's the question. I just don't see it. Like, would a Real Madrid go in for him? I don't think so. Maybe. I mean, Chelsea would probably give him 200 grand a week, but it says that he doesn't want to go to another. Yeah, so let's just read through the article really quickly. So, The Guardian's headline is Kobbie Mainoo set to reject Manchester United contract and wants to move abroad. It says negotiations over an extension have not led to an agreement between the player and his agent. United now open to the sale of the player and value him around 70 million. It says Kobbie Mainoo is set to reject the offer and seek a move abroad. The midfielder has 2 years on his deal, but the club will be open to selling the England international, who's valued at 70 million. Blah, 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 blah. Mainoo currently earns around 20 grand a week, and his representatives want an improved wage to reflect his role in the team. United still believe they might be able to agree terms with him. I don't know which way this is going to go, really. The thing for me is, like, I don't really see how Mainoo has much of an argument at the moment. He's injured. He's been injured for, let's have a look. When did he get injured? As I said, if we were second in the Premier League, in the Champions League, and Mainoo was like the main part of our team, I think you'd say 200 grand a week's too much, but let's give it to him. But has he really impressed anybody this season? Put your hand on your heart and tell me. Tell me one game where Kobbie Mainoo was world class out of what, we're in March. Tell me one game where Kobbie Mainoo was like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I can't think of any this season, not one. Last season there was a few where he had really good performances. He scored some really important goals, didn't he? Remember the one against Liverpool? But this season, I honestly can't think of a single game where he looked above a 7. And now he's injured. He's been injured since February, and apparently he's not back till April. He was injured in October for 2 months until December. And last season, he was injured from June until October. So in the last calendar year, because you kind of have to look at things in the calendar years, don't you? Yeah, he's been injured a fair old amount. But as I said, I'd love to know you guys' thoughts on this one. I imagine most people would agree that we shouldn't get 200 grand a week, but I'd be interested to see what you'll think. Domain says Mainoo can leave if he wants. He's not bigger than the club. I agree. I just think as well that the position we're in now financially, I think cashing in on somebody like a Mainoo, yes, it's upsetting. Yes, he's come through the academy. Yes, I get all that. But 70 million straight profit, like imagine what you can do with that. So, yeah, that's my take on it. But obviously, I'd be interested to know what you guys all think. Let's move over to some potential incomings then, shall we? So there's a few different stories to run through this morning. And we are going to start off with Jean-Phillipe Mateta. Obviously plays for Crystal Palace at the moment. So this is coming out from Simon Stone, who is, again, a very respected journalist, reports for the BBC, Manchester United correspondent for the BBC. He is reporting that Jean-Phillipe Mateta is a player that Manchester United are targeting this summer. I think he might be out of contract. Let me just double check. Or maybe he's out of contract next summer. Yeah, he's out of contract next summer. So he's going to be available for a discounted price, obviously, because, well, he's got 1 year left on his deal, effectively. And if they don't sell him in the summer, then he can agree a pre-contract deal in January, so not even very long. So he'll definitely leave Crystal Palace unless he signs a new contract, but I can't see that happening. He's had a really, really good season for Crystal Palace. He's got 12 goals and 2 assists in the Premier League alone for Crystal Palace. I mean, again, not to bring it back to Højlund, but when you compare that with Højlund's 2 goals in the Premier League, and they're both attackers, both playing for mid-table sides, I mean, 6 times the amount of goals and 2 assists. I mean, it's really impressive. I don't think he takes the penalties at Crystal Palace. I'm not 100% though. If anybody knows in the chat, let me know, but let's have a look at the rest of... I mean, even last season in the Premier League, he got 16 goals and 5 assists. That's 21 goals and assists at Crystal Palace. That's decent. Like, I would take that at Manchester United. If we had a 16-goal a season striker, I don't think he'd be the main man, but bring him in as an extra option, I think he'd be quality. He's dangerous. Whenever we play against him, I like the look of him. And obviously, like things like wages aren't going to be a problem, hence why he wants to leave. He's on about 50 grand a week at Crystal Palace. So you could probably give him like maybe 70, something around that kind of figure. Give him a bit of a pay rise to come. But there will be a lot of interest in this guy, you know? He's a quality player. He's in his prime. He's 27 years of age. I would like him. I think, you know, if someone said to me you could get Jean-Phillipe Mateta and like a Jonathan David, I think that'd be good. I mean, there isn't really a world-class striker there, but it's just whether we're going to have the resources to go and get an Osimhen or a Gyökeres. That's the question. And I think it is going to be a struggle, unless, of course, we sell players like Garnacho and Mainoo, which is obviously a possibility. Mateta has now been capped by the French national team as well. So he's played 6 times for France. He scored 5 times in 6 games for France. So he's doing it on the international stage as well. Obviously, he's not played in Europe, but we're not going to... has he played in Europe? Yeah, I think he did actually for Lyon before he came to Crystal Palace. So he's got some experience in the... I think it was the Europa League, I think. But yeah, I think he'd be a good deal. It's more of a clever signing because obviously his contract's going to run out. You could probably get him for, I think, around 15 to 20 million is my prediction. And as I said, the wages won't be a problem. I think if Højlund does end up staying, which is obviously a strong possibility if no one wants to buy him, then, you know, if you have Jean-Phillipe Mateta, Højlund and Chido Obi, that's decent. I mean, is it enough to win the league? No, definitely not. But the goal for next season has to be Champions League football. It has to be 5th, I think. That has to be the goal. Remember, 5th place gets Champions League now. So if we can get to 5th next year, I think it would be an improvement. Would I be happy? It all depends on the style of play. If I see a clear style of play, I see a massive clear out in the summer, I see an identity, I'll be happy. I don't mind if we lose the odd game. Obviously, that's fine. That happens in football. Even if you're Man City, you know, they lost, 10 games in a row? It happens. Even if you're a world-class team, you will still lose football matches. But for me personally, it's all about the style of play. It's the identity, because the people who were screaming Erik ten Hag out as we were winning the FA Cup and winning the League Cup and getting to an FA Cup final and finishing third and all the rest of it, their argument was always there's no style of play. But we were still winning games. We won 2 trophies. We got Champions League football in the first year and Europa in the second year. We overachieved. And the Erik ten Hag outers from the beginning were always like, well, there's no style of play. I'd get rid of him. Get rid of him. Well, we've brought in a manager now with a very clear style of play. And I know he doesn't have the players yet, so I'm obviously giving him the time. But there is really no style of play now. You see nothing. No patterns of play. Nothing at the moment. So for me, next season, the most important thing is we see a style of play. Obviously, I understand that Ruben Amorim doesn't have the players that suit his system, which I completely get. So, yeah, we'll see how it progresses. But I think, yeah, Jean-Phillipe Mateta would be a good option. Natty says, do you think the game will be cancelled tomorrow? I don't think so. I mean, fair play to the people who've organised the protest. It's obviously an amazing thing to do, but I don't think there's the same level as anger as there was around the Super League. When it was the Super League situation, like, we knew that something was going to go down, whereas I don't think it will be like that tomorrow. I feel like it will be a peaceful protest, which is fine. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that we should take to the streets and be violent, like the complete opposite. I'm not saying that by any means. I'm saying that I think from what I've seen of the kind of information about tomorrow's, it's just a march to the stadium. Whereas yesterday it was like, not yesterday, whereas for the Super League one, where the Liverpool game got cancelled, the goal was to create as much disturbance and antisocial behaviour as possible. Whereas from what I've seen, I might be wrong. Maybe it does kick off tomorrow, but from what I've seen, I think tomorrow is going to be more of a peaceful one. And I don't think the game will be called off personally, but you never know. You never know in football, anything can happen. So, yeah. I mean, realistically, if you want to hit the Glazers and Ineos in their pockets, cancelling games is the most effective way, isn't it? Because obviously you probably get a fine from the Premier League, you'll lose points. Yeah, all sorts of things. Some Mel saying that they saw an article online saying that Liverpool want to sign Mason Greenwood. I mean, it's not going to happen. Whatever your thoughts are on Mason Greenwood, which we're not going to get into again because I spoke about Mason Greenwood I spoke about that whole situation more times than I can even remember. But in relation to you saying, do I think he'll go to Liverpool? No, I don't think he'll play for an English club again, to be honest. I think he will get a big move somewhere else, but it's not going to be to England. I could see like a PSG going in for him, or one of those French sides. It's just not going to happen. He's got a young family. I think he's got another child on the way. Coming back to England is going to cause him nothing but misery, realistically. So, yeah, I haven't seen that story myself, but I would imagine it's probably just clickbait, so you can probably ignore that. I might be wrong, of course, but I just think, obviously you've asked my opinion, and I think the likelihood of Greenwood going back to England, let alone Liverpool, is very, very small. Probably, tiny. So, yeah, but obviously anything can happen. Maybe it does, but I don't think so. Right, let's see what else we've got planned for the show today. There's a bit of news on the goalkeeper front. I don't know how much to read into this story, though, just because the source isn't too good. Like, the 2 stories we've run with this morning, the Kobbie Mainoo and the... what was the other one? And the Mateta story. They were very, very well sourced, put out by Tier 1 journalists. There are some other stories out this morning, but they're, I'm going to be honest, stories that you'd usually just kind of ignore. But it is a news show. I'll bring it in and obviously we can kind of discuss. There's a story this morning saying that Manchester United are looking at signing the Real Madrid goalkeeper. Is it Lumon? I mean, we do need a new goalkeeper, so maybe there is some truth in that. But is it going to be a priority in the summer? Maybe. So it says Manchester United are interested in signing Real Madrid goalkeeper Andriy Lunin and are willing to offer around £35 million. This is coming out from Real Madrid source with 3.4 million followers. I don't think they're very reliable though. I've seen these people put up stories before and it's always just rubbish. So maybe Manchester United are interested, but Manchester United are probably interested in 200 goalkeepers. It doesn't mean that we're going to sign them, you know? So yeah, I do like that. I do like him though. He is a good goalkeeper, but I can't see us having the the funds to be able to buy a Real Madrid player, considering we paid 60 million for Casemiro, 50 million for Varane. They're gonna rob us realistically, and we're not really in a position to be robbed at the moment. Somebody says, why did Kobbie Mainoo ask for that much money? It's because he's carrying Manchester United's midfield. I don't even think he is, though, to be honest. Do you really think that he's carrying the midfield? I think he's being played in the wrong position. I'll agree with that. I think Mainoo's best position is further up the pitch. I think as that kind of number 6, deep-lying central defensive midfielder, I think he's wasted there. And I don't think he does. I don't think he carries the midfield when he's playing in that position, to be honest. I really don't. I think he struggles. I think he doesn't know this positional awareness. He's not that great defensively. He's not the fastest. Compared to Manuel Ugarte, who is world-class, and maybe not world-class, that's maybe a stretch of the imagination, but Manuel Ugarte is the number 6, I think is quality, but I think Mainoo needs to be in one of those central attacking midfield roles for me, because he does create chances. He does have a good shot on him, etc. I just don't think he's great defensively. And at the moment, Amorim had him in quite a defensive role. So, yeah. Natty says, what do you think about Howard's comment about the Glazers? Let me know what the comment was, mate. I haven't seen that. Jin says, I've noticed an attitude change on the pitch with Mainoo in recent months. Seems he's very arrogant. He's achieved nothing and thinks he is elite. I've not really noticed that, to be honest. But fair play. If that's what you've seen, then that's what you've seen. I haven't noticed it. Al says, Mainoo has signed till 2027. He has an option of an extra year. Let him earn 20 grand per year. He has no bargaining power. You know what? That's probably the comment of the stream. Thank you for bringing that in. So, Mainoo's got 2 years left, as Al has said. But Manchester United have the option for another year. That's 3 years. Keep him on 20 grand a week for 3 years. See how his injuries turn out. See if he actually reaches the potential we think. We don't need to give him 200 grand a week. We've got 3 years left of his deal. And if he wants to leave, if he's not happy with that, then he can force a move. That's what I would say to him. And it's whether he'll do that. It's whether his agent will force the move out of Manchester United. I mean, it seems like he will, but I don't know. We'll see. Glenn says Mainoo is underperforming and overrated. I mean, most people in the chat seem pretty anti-Mainoo this morning. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you so much for watching the show today. I really, really appreciate all of your support. Please do make sure to drop a like, subscribe on your way out. This has been Daily Red Devil. I hope you all have an amazing Saturday, whatever you're doing. I'll be back tomorrow morning as usual. And, yeah, have a good one. Bye for now, everyone. Speak later. Bye.